Hi, welcome to the Frugal Frau. I'm Sukey, your host, and today we're going to show you how to make a bridle joint. And just for your information, this part's the actual bridle joint part because it kind of looks like a bridle, and this part's called the builder bill, and they go together just like that. But before we get started, please like, subscribe, and comment, and ask questions because it really helps out. And make sure you are subscribed because our next video is going to be making a frame saw, and that incorporates the bridle joint. So you'll want to get notified for that. So let's get started. Before you begin, the two pieces to be joined must be of equal thickness, as denoted by the red X's in this diagram. That way your joint will be perfectly flat on the front and back faces. Tom is marking the builder bill or bottom lap sections for two bridle joints, as this is part of a frame saw build. For clarity, he is coloring in the sections to be cut away. Because this is a frame saw, the bridle joints must be identically placed on each arm of the frame saw, and therefore Tom is checking that the positions match. The depth of the builder bill or bottom lap must be the same on both sides of the joint, and Tom is marking the depth of the cut out on both sides of one of the bridle joints of this frame saw. And he marks it on the opposing side that gets cut out. So, for each bridle joint, mark the two opposite sides of the builder bill joint component with the width lines as shown in solid blue and the depth lines as shown in dotted red in this diagram. Score these lines across the top and bottom faces and down to the depth lines on the edges. This is so that your cuts will be clearly marked and delineated. Set your router plane to match the depth of the cut to be made. You will not be using the router plane to make most of the cut. It is simply being used to make the final base of each side of this joint. And you can think of these two parts of the builder bill as two separate lap joints on opposite faces. Next, make a few vertical cuts across the face of the waist area to just above the cut depth lines. Cut the two outer sides, of course, and then cut a few cuts in the middle. This, of course, just aids in being able to remove the waist quickly with a chisel, as you see Tom doing here. Once most of the waist has been removed, go ahead and smooth out the bottom of this cut with the router plane. Also clean up the edges with a chisel, keeping the flat side to the outside of the cut. Repeat the entire process on the opposite side to complete the builder bill portion of the joint. Since the marking gauge is already set to the depth from the faces for the builder bill piece of the joint, go ahead and mark the bridle section using that set depth to mark the depth from each face as shown by the blue dotted lines in this drawing. The depth from the edge is, of course, just the thickness of the stock so that the bridle fits snug around the builder bill. Deepen the scribed lines with a knife, then cut into them from the waist side to further delineate them. Deepen the scribed lines across the edge too. And further enhance them, as you can see here. And you can see that the part to be cut away to form the bridle has been marked or scribbled on with a pencil, just for clarity. Deepening the lines also helps to keep the saw in place when we start sawing out this portion. Saw along the scribed lines to the depth line as marked from the edge. Do not go past that depth line. Do the same on the other scribe line. And this way you have outlined what is going to be cut out with the saw. Now you can chisel out the waist. It is best to try not to cut the waist from only one of the faces, or edges in this case. Turn it over, as you see Tom has done here, to complete taking the waist out. The bridle portion is now cut, at least roughly, and it will need to be trimmed a little bit with another chisel just to smooth it out. Test the joint for fit, and if necessary, you'll probably have to clean up that bridle a little bit with another chisel to make it fit a little bit better, and here you can see Tom doing that. Since this bridle joint is part of a saw, the joint is not glued. For the saw, it must be able to move a little bit.